Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni moni wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so very honored that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show, and please subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is Debra Kempf Shumaker. She is returning to the show to celebrate Peculiar Primates. Before we invite Debra into the studio, I want to invite you to visit Amazon.com, and in the search box, I want you to type in Real Magic by Jedley. That's me. And you'll find out all about my book, Real Magic. It's a beautiful book that tells a true story, something amazing that happened to me on stage. I asked Sue Ann Webster, who is Australia's First Lady of Magic, to read the book and write a comment. She wrote something really beautiful. Is magic real? Do we have the ability to perform real magic? When Jedley asks for a volunteer, a quiet girl finds herself up on stage to help him perform a magic trick. Jedley asks his audience to encourage his young volunteer, and in doing so, they're suddenly treated to something wonderful, a greater kind of magic. This touching and delightful story reveals a profound and beautiful truth. You'll be surprised and moved by the power of real magic. I believe that, and I would love for you to check it out. It's available for an instant download through Amazon Kindle. Check it out today. Real Magic by me, Jedley. Join us right now from one of my favorite parts of the world, Northern Virginia. Our guest is returning to the show. She was here not too long ago talking to us about Freaky Fish. Today she's going to be talking to us about Peculiar Primates. Please welcome back Debra Kempf Shumaker. Hey, Debra, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me back. I really enjoy this show.
I'm really delighted to have you back. I had so much fun talking about all those weird and freaky and fun fish before. I can't wait to find out what kind of primates you're going to be introducing us to.
Oh, there are so many fun primates. I learned a lot researching this book as well, to find out the fact that there's actually a venomous primate was such news to me. There's very few venomous mammals, much less venomous primates. So there's only one, and that is the slow loris, who has a complicated process to actually get the venom in their saliva, but their venom gland is actually in their inside of their elbow. So they have to stretch out their elbow, lick, and then they have the venom on their teeth, and then they can bite someone to do some harm. So it seems like a lot of work, in my opinion.
Yeah. I always thought evolution worked to make it more streamlined and easy and all that kind of stuff, but it seemed to have missed that.
Yeah. Just from the research, I don't think they use it very often, but they do have it as a means of defense if they need to. So I thought that fascinating.
What does this creature look like?
Well, it's a loris. It's one of the, smaller primates. It's not the, everyone thinks of the chimps and the gorillas and the baboons. And so it's one of the smaller primates. And, I think it lives on Madagascar. I need to go check my back matter because I get them mixed up sometimes. I'm sorry. It lives in South and Southeast Asia. But it's a slow loris, and they're very cute. I think every primate is cute, though, so.
All right, so we have to watch out for the slow loris and make sure that he doesn't bite us after he licks his elbow.
Yes, that is good advice, but yes. I don't think very few people actually run into them in the wild, so I don't think you need to worry about that.
And and that's one of the neat things. We talk about a lot of times we're fearful of different animals, but the reality is most animals, they're afraid of us. and
Oh, absolutely.
they really don't want to come in contact with us.
Right. They're just going to defend themselves if they have to. Mm-hmm. It's like the gorilla. Everyone thinks they're just large and scary, but they're really very gentle. They will only get angry if they need to defend. They thump their chest. I have them in my book, thumping their chest to show their might. But they only do that when they feel threatened, when their troop feels, when they feel their troop is being threatened. Other than that, they're very gentle creatures, and they are not looking to, be mean. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, be mean is the wrong word, but, I'm drawing a blank. But sure. They are not, aggressive. That's the word I was looking for. They are not aggressive creatures. They are very gentle unless they are threatened. Then they will obviously defend their family group.
We talk a lot on the show. We have so many different listeners. We have parents. I'm surprised we have a fair number of kids who listen to the show. We have a lot of authors and aspiring authors. And, you just had a momentary brain freeze when you were looking for a word, which happens to us all. I'm wondering, what do you do when that happens while you're writing?
Well, while you're writing, it's wonderful because you can you can just continue on. If I'm stuck, I just always move on. Uh-huh. Know that whatever I was trying to say will eventually come back in my head. So you can just skip ahead and then go back when you need to. I am a fan of rewriting until I get it to the way I want to. And if I'm stuck on a project, as long as I don't have a major deadline coming up, I will happily take a break for a day, a week, or whatever, however I need to in order to come back with fresh eyes. Obviously, if it's a deadline that an editor needs something, then I have to work towards the deadline. But having multiple projects is such a good thing for me personally, because when I get stuck, my brain doesn't want to work on something. I've got another project to just, pull out.
That's actually great advice for writers, and I think for anybody. If you're stuck at something, if you're a kid and you're trying to do homework and you're just looking and nothing is making sense, it doesn't make any sense for you to just pound your head into the thing. And in parents, it doesn't make sense for us to pound our kids' head into do it. Give them a break, let them get up, walk around, get some fresh air, exercise,
Agreed.
Come back to it.
Yeah.
And like you said, that thing that you were looking for is going to be there.
Agreed. My kids have always been, when they need a break, they love to just hop on the bike and bike around the neighborhood. It's the best thing.
Yeah. So what other primates are we going to be meeting in this book?
Did you know that some primates floss their teeth?
I know again, a lot of humans who don't floss their teeth, but.
Right, exactly. Again, us humans are primates, so we do show up in the book. But I just found it very fascinating that there are macaques and several actually in the wild. Macaques have been seen to the ones on the Nicobar Island like to eat slimy food and dirty food, and they just don't like that in their mouth. So when they're done, they've been observed to pull out grass or coconut fiber or something to floss their teeth. But in fact, other primates have been observed in zoos. I think it's the British Zoo, a baboon has been seen taking a broom bristle or human hair even and flossing their teeth. So there are possibly other primates who do it. Again, it's hard to observe some of these creatures all day long to see what they do, but there are primates that floss their teeth.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah, It's so amazing how much in common we have with other primates.
Yes. They are very intelligent creatures, and it's just refreshing to see. And I'm hoping books like this, like Freaky Funky Fish, like Peculiar Primates, and many of the nonfiction books that so many talented authors write about, inspire the next generation to do as much as we can to save these creatures. Unfortunately, with primates, deforestation is one of the biggest threats. Human beings, we're our population is growing. We need construction materials and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it is affecting their habitat. And that is one of their biggest threats, is that they are losing their forests. And if they lose their forests, many of them are endangered. So the book doesn't specifically address that, but I hope readers, adults and kids who read books like this, realize that there's so much fascinating nature out there, and we are at risk for losing a lot of it. So I hope that this book definitely inspires the next generation to do what they need to do. And our generation as well. Obviously, we are responsible too for doing what we can to preserve environments.
Yeah. How many different species of primates are there?
Depends upon what source you go to, but generally speaking, definitely more than 350.
Wow.
Yeah, which is much smaller than the fish. I mean, there were 32,000 or more species of fish. So definitely, fewer primates. But yes, there are 350. When I got this book reviewed by my expert who works for the New England Primate Conservancy, and everyone, please check out their website. They have such fascinating information. A lot of times the numbers keep changing as we're getting more information and DNA testing and stuff like that. Some species are actually being, broken up into more because they're realizing DNA is slightly different. So that's why the numbers, depending upon what website you go to, what organization, you'll see different numbers, but generally speaking, there's more than 350 species of primates.
Wow. And now you and I are here in the United States in North America. Are there any primates that are native to North America?
Not, except for us humans, no, primates do not live in. It is mostly South America, Asia, and Africa. There's a small population on the island of Gibraltar, so that gets Europe in there. But usually, it's not. Australia and the United States do not have them. Wow. So North America and Australia do not.
Yeah. I know, and when my beautiful wife and I toured Panama and took a small boat out onto with a guide, out into the rivers that feed the Panama Canal, we encountered little spider monkeys who came up on our boat, and we encountered howler monkeys that thankfully didn't come up on our boat. Their howl was terrifying. It just, I never thought a sound could make my blood curl, but boy, oh boy, they did it.
They are in the book. They are the loudest primate. They have special throat sacs in their throat that can echo their howl. So they can be heard 2.5 to 3 miles away.
I am not surprised. I am not surprised. They were up in a tree, a branch that was hanging over the river, and our guide pointed it out, and the sound of the boat kind of set the monkeys off, and I've never heard anything like that in my life.
Yeah, I am eager to do. We've traveled my husband and I and kids have traveled quite a bit in the United States and to Mexico and the Caribbean, but I have not been outside of North America ever in my life. So we will be empty nesters in 2 years, and my husband and I have world travel on our list. Awesome. So, I have not had the fortune to encounter, except at, zoos and stuff like that. I have not had the fortune to encounter primates in their habitats. So I am eager to do world travel and see more of the world.
What is it that inspires your really fascination with funky and peculiar animals?
Well, the fish one just came from it came from a long time ago, just doing a family trip with the boys to Disney. And then I just saw all these fish named after animals. And I actually wrote a different book years ago, like in 2015. It was a fiction book, but about fish who wanted to become different animals. It was supposed to be funny. It never sold. But then in about 2000 and I'm getting my years mixed up, 2018, I decided I wanted to write a rhyming nonfiction book. So then I remembered all the weird fish out there and came up with Freaky Funky Fish. So that was my first book with Running Press Kids. And they're actually the ones who gave me the idea for the primates. I actually wrote a companion called Bizarre Birds, which was so much fun to write. And the team just felt like it was well written, but they felt at the time that there were just enough picture books about birds. So they said, we'd love to see one on primates. I'm like, all right. So then I dove in and realized there was just a lot of fun variety. But I'm just a trivia fact person. I watch Jeopardy almost every night. I have a trivia calendar down on our kitchen island. I just love trivia. So I think that's where my fascination, if I read about something weird and strange, I just want to know more about it. So awesome. These books are a perfect fit for me.
Yeah. How do you do when you're watching trivia and you're playing at home?
I keep joking I'll be on Jeopardy someday, but realize there's no way I'm ever. I'd like to think that I could succeed. But James Holzhauer, he actually gave a shout out to children's nonfiction. He would go to the children's nonfiction section of the library. And that's how I'm sure he had a photographic memory, but he mentioned once in an interview, and I think on the show once, when he had his, amazing streak, that he loved children's nonfiction. It was just a great way to get bullet points, facts about different things. And I tell you, there are so many. I've also written some history nonfiction picture books that have not get picked up, but there are so many answers that I know because of my research for a different project, or just reading picture books. I check 15 books out a week at least. I just love picture books. So unusual history, unknown history, I read those all the time, and there are a few topics that I think I could do very well on Jeopardy, and then there are topics that I don't think I'll ever get on, but it's my someday dream.
There you go. You bring up a really good point, and we encourage families to continue to read with their kids when they become independent readers, as they get into their middle grade years, and even as they get into high school. And we've even had some authors and some folks talk to us about the fact that they have book clubs with their adult kids and read books and have these conversations. I think you bring up a really good point that picture books are really valuable. And they're a great way, a really non-threatening way for a lot of folks, kids and adults, to access information. I'll be honest, I'll never pick up an encyclopedia about primates, just because it's a lot of heavy lifting, and I'm curious, but I don't need to get a master's or a doctorate on it. But I would love to sit down and read a fun picture book that gives me those little bullet points that can, and then if that sparks some interest and I want to go and get my master's or whatever, then I can really do the deep dive. But picture books are just wonderful, and there's so much real wisdom in them,
Oh, I agree. I actually have an Instagram account where I review picture books every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And my tagline is, there's a picture book for every reason, every season, and every age. I just feel like everyone should be reading picture books for their social emotional content, for their just fun factor. There are so many fun picture books out there, and there's so many talented authors who write picture books, aimed at the young kids, but there's a subtle humor also aimed at adults in many picture books. And again, I've learned so much history. When you're learning history in school, you're getting the highlights, and sometimes, history that doesn't go very deep. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's so much more to world history, and especially American history, that again, no one has time to read all these wonderful adult nonfiction books out there either that are going to teach you so much more, but you can learn so much. I have learned so much from nonfiction picture book biographies or picture books about historic events that I never heard about when I was in school. Right. So it's my mission to get adults to read picture books on a regular basis.
Yeah. And, there's so much of, one of the things I hear is that most TV that everybody watches consumes hours of TV. Most of that's written for a third grader. That's the level of when they're doing the writing. And so, you're already reading picture books. They're just moving and they're on TV.
Right.
Now you mentioned that Freaky Fish was a rhyming picture book. Is Peculiar Primates also rhyming?
Yes. So the main text is very simple rhyming, but fun pictures with the names of the primates on each page. And Claire Powell, the illustrator, who also illustrated Freaky Funky Fish, she's amazing. You must open up this book. She puts a peculiar rating on every page, like she did a freaky or funky rating in the fish book. Her end pages are so much fun. She's made it look like an explorer's journal. And even though the pictures are generally accurate, they're also, there's just a lot of personality in the different primates. Mm-hmm. There is one page where the line to rhyme with the I'll just read the page to you.
Okay.
There's one page where it says, some primates floss to keep teeth clean while others use the same latrine. And we know that most kids don't know what the word latrine means. So she chose to put toilet paper on the tree, a roll of toilet paper hanging on a branch. So obviously that was just placed there to give kids context as to what's happening on the page. But other than that, the colors and the primates are generally accurate, but obviously a little bit cartoonish and fun because it's a kid's book.
Yeah.
But, so she has definitely done her research. And in fact, when I was reviewing the sketches, I noticed that when I use the page where some primates thump their chest to show their might, and it's the gorilla, and Tarzan, whatever movie you see them using their fist and I was surprised to see she actually had like cupped hands, open hands, thumping the chest. And so I thought, and I looked it up, and she obviously did her research because gorillas do thump their chest with cupped hands. It's a better echo than the fists. Mm-hmm. So she has absolutely 100% done her research. I thought I caught an error, but it was not an error.
You were mentioning that there's a peculiar rating on all of the different primates. What's the most peculiar primate?
You know what? She's the one that chose that. So, she chose a 10 out of 10 on the II, who taps, the line is, one looks for food by tapping bark, and it taps a tree to find hollow spots because it likes to eat beetle larvae. So, and it's got a really, really, really long middle finger. And then once it finds a hollow spot, it bites the branch and then uses that long finger to dig out the larvae. So she put that as a 10. I'm actually not sure what else she rated as a 10. I will, the bald wakari. I actually had to look up pronunciations before I started reading this book. She also, that one has a very red face, so she gave that one a 10. And, the mandrill has a, very colorful butt. She put that as a 10 as well.
Yes, I'm familiar with the mandrill and his unique,
very colorful
posterior.
butt.
Yes.
And face, but the butt. So those are the 10s that she gave out. And let me check out the the slow loris with the toxic bite. She rated as an 8.
An 8. Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
She's a great, again, these illustrations in this book are so much fun. I am so grateful that she agreed to sign on to do this book as well.
Well, I really respect you giving your illustrator a shout out. So many times authors forget that. And one of the beautiful things about a picture book is that it really is a collaborative work.
It absolutely is. It's one of the most fun things about the process is to get the first sketches to see how because I've seen pictures of all these primates, obviously, as I was doing my research, but just to see what take she was going to do. And when I write the words, sometimes I don't think about how difficult it would be to illustrate, like the one with the same latrine. I mean, and with the fish, with my fish book, I really wondered how she was going to draw fish singing because, again, singing is a verb that doesn't really show any action. So she put musical notes just to, again, give the implication as to what was going on. So, it's a very, you never know what you're going to see.
Yeah.
But it is a very fun process to see what the illustrator, comes up with. And now I understand why, you shouldn't do as many art notes as sometimes you're probably tempted to because they're professionals. And I have to say she blew it out of the water. I love her illustrations.
So we've covered fish. We've covered primates. The editor said, there's too many bird books out there. Are we digging into mammals or insects or amoeba next?
I've done one on reptiles. So hopefully if the numbers, publishing is a business. Mm-hmm. So right now they're, putting it on hold. But if we sell more copies, hopefully one on reptiles will come out. That was another, again, fascinating one
I bet.
To do. So, yeah.
Well, we're excited for you. And we want people to go out and go to their independent bookstore and ask them politely if they don't have Peculiar Primates in stock, if they could order it for you. I also know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about you and all of your books.
www.debrashumaker.com.
Excellent.
And it's DebraShumaker. There are no C's in my last name.
All right. We've had a really fun time speaking to the author of Peculiar Primates, Debra Kempf Shumaker. Debra, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Sally Alexander. She'll be here to celebrate The Lost Colors, a great middle grade novel. You don't want to miss it. Hey, please be sure to connect with us on social media. Facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading With Your Kids on Instagram and TikTok, and at Jedley Magic on Twitter. We also have a great Pinterest page. It's Reading With Your Kids. And, of course, we have a great YouTube channel at Reading With Your Kids. And, of course, we'd love for you to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Sign up for our free online magazine. And also use the contact button to ask us a question. Let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we could be doing better. And let us know who you would like to hear on a future episode of the Reading With Your Kids podcast. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we're going to start by thanking our guest, Debra Kempf Shumaker. Please be sure to check out Peculiar Primates. Also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Mirabella Q, Jordan Saley, Skylar Strauss. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.